All right. It looks like we are live today on One Heart TV, and I'd like to welcome you all. This is Joelyn, your host, and we are going to be talking about a subject that is extremely dear to my heart. Many of you know that I've been a musician really my whole life, had an all-female rock band in the 80s and was going to become famous. Well, things change and shift as they probably should or do. And I'm so excited to talk about this topic because I've been really pulled towards the idea that in the midst, we're in the midst, I think, of using vibration to help ourselves heal. And I think I've got the perfect person to talk to about this today. Welcome, my dear friend here today, Andi Goldman. Oh, I can't hear you, Andi. There you are.
Okay, now you can hear me.
I can hear you now.
Good. I think the mute button was on with the Zoom. You know, we have to get used to all this. But Joelyn, thank you so much for inviting me on your show today. I've been really looking forward to talking to our audience and all about sound and sound as a healing modality.
Well, let me just give them just a little slice of who and what you are. You are a licensed psychotherapist specializing in holistic counseling and sound therapy. She is the director of the Healing Sound Seminars and co-director of the Sound Healers Association. She's a musician, woot woot, teacher, sound healer, and award-winning author, and is the developer of Counsel, the nation's first telephone counseling service specifically offering homebound clients structured counseling. That's interesting. And you're the co-author with your beautiful husband, Jonathan Goldman, Chakra Frequencies, winner of the Visionary Award for Best Alternative Health Book of the Year, and your new best-selling, The Humming Effect. Oh, girl, I've been humming these days ever since I saw you on an interview with Dr. Jason Loken. And I'm excited to talk about this today. Can you explain to them just a bit about your background, a little more in depth, and how did you ever get started in this idea of vibration?
Oh, Joelyn, thank you for that lovely, lovely welcome. And once again, I'm delighted. And it's so nice to be able to meet you. And I love that you were wanting to do a rock band back in the day. I love that. Well, a little bit more about my background. Oh goodness, I've been in the field of sound now for over 25 years, working very closely with my husband, who is a founding pioneer in the field of sound healing, Jonathan Goldman. And prior to that, I, was a psychotherapist, a holistic psychotherapist, and I primarily utilized expressive therapies. And of course, sound is probably one of the most expressive therapies that you can use. And it's such a powerful modality for healing. And at any rate, so gosh, way back in the day when I don't know, do you remember a lovely, just a very, very brilliant pioneer in the field by the name of Don Campbell? He wrote the Mozart Effect books.
Ooh.
I don't know if you remember that or not. It was quite a while ago. Well, he was one of my dear friends. He actually introduced me to Jonathan. And so I was sort of on the periphery of the sound world just by virtue of, my friendships and so forth. And then when I met Jonathan, I, really, I mean, what do? You just like jump in. And so I became quite enamored and interested and really just knowing how beneficial working with sound. And one of the main ways that we work with sound, that I work with sound, is with the voice. And so, you can honestly, work with sound in so many different ways. I mean, we can, listen, we can use instruments, but we chose to use the instrument of our voice. And so we primarily work with the voice. So
lovely. Yeah, why not? It's there. It's an automatic freebie. You don't have to go out and buy an instrument. It's there.
well,
But
it's user friendly and it doesn't need batteries.
that's true. You know, I when I listened to your last interview, I was thinking about humming intuitively way back. I can remember one time feeling ill as a child and, tummy ache. And I remember in the evening kind of holding my stomach and just going, Mom, saying the word mom because, well, I wanted my mom, but I didn't really want her because I was old enough to not want her, but I didn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
That vibration to this day, I remember how it made me feel. It's within the body. Can you explain a little bit possibly why that feels so good?
Yes. Well, Joelyn, there's actually two ways that we experience a sound. We can experience it vibroacoustically, where it goes into the body, psychoacoustically, where we hear a sound. It goes in through our ears, it travels up through our auditory pathways into our brain, and it affects our nervous system. And so when we're listening to healing music, healing sounds that, are really, composed for the purpose of healing, it is a psychoacoustic experience. Now, a vibroacoustic experience is when we actually feel the sound in our bodies at a cellular level. It goes into our body and we feel it. And I love the way you described that. You felt it. We feel the sound. Now, what we have, our experience and our research by humming, and of course, we are all about conscious humming, and I'll talk more about that also in a minute. But when we are humming, that is the most powerful sound that we can work with vibroacoustically. It goes directly into our body, and it's almost as though we are giving our bodies an internal massage. And
Oh, yes, that's what it is. It's an
yeah,
internal massage. Oh, I like that.
yeah.
Uh,
And so it's that, that vibroacoustic, powerful sound goes into our bodies and it just resonates and vibrates. And humming, of course, we can sing, we can do mantras, we can tone, we can do all of that, which is wonderful for sure. But humming, and as simple as that sounds, it is truly the most effective vibroacoustic sound that we can make with our voice. So we go deep into that place of, it just resonates inside.
now, here you are speaking like when we've all done that. It makes me smile. And when I've learned meditation tactics, they always include, smiling. Smile while you're in meditation because it does something with the chemicals. I know we have a lot of inbred. That's probably not the right word, but a pharmacy within our brain. Are we actually triggering some of those chemicals with humming?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Joelyn, in fact, when we are humming, when we are working with sound, when we are using our voice, there are so many physiological benefits really that are occurring while we are humming. And, it was interesting when Jonathan and I were, when we decided to write our book on conscious humming, The Humming Effect is the name of our book. And, we first said, who in the world is going to take this serious? I mean, humming, it's like, what? You're going to write a book about humming? And of course, having worked with sound, for all these many years, we of course knew how powerful humming can be. And we wanted to make sure that our work was of a benefit and of a service that could reach more and more and more and more people. And so we wanted to work with a sound that we knew that everybody could make, that everybody could understand. So the very first chapter of our book is nothing but peer-reviewed research, because we said, okay, we want people to take this seriously, because on the surface, it may not be taken so seriously. And once you open the book and you go to the first chapter and you see all this peer-reviewed research, and I want to share some of that with you right now. It was a little bit of a roundabout way to answer your question, but that's where we really have documented through the peer-reviewed research the unbelievable, powerful physiological benefits. First of all, when we are humming, it increases the oxygen in our cells. It lowers our heart rate. It lowers our blood pressure.
Oh, that's good. That's good for a lot of people that are so stressed out right now.
Oh, amen. Oh, absolutely. And it also releases the hormone melatonin, which, regulates our sleep. And it also releases the hormone oxytocin, which is the trust hormone. And, and it's interesting because when we've been doing, a lot of workshops, of course, through the years, and, we have the groups do, sound together. And it's interesting because there's this deep feeling of connection, and people feel very much like they're, in a community. They feel connected to each other, and that is really that trust, that level of trust, that hormone oxytocin. And so even if we're humming by ourselves, we can still have that release of oxytocin, and we can still feel that trust within our own body, minds, and spirits, which is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Now, yeah. Now, the other really incredible molecule that is released when we hum is nitric oxide.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. What?
Nitric oxide is not nitrous oxide that we get in the dentist chair, which we all love. This is nitric oxide, and we are able to produce that ourselves by our own humming, our own sounds. And there's been a lot of research done. It's become kind of a buzzword, really, in the field of healing. And what it is actually an antiviral. It releases these molecules, and it starts here, Joelyn, in this nasal cavity. And because when we're humming, that's where we begin to, feel and vibrate those sounds. And that's where the nitric oxide begins to get released. And so it's actually quite, because it's an antiviral, it can really be helpful to reduce any of those nasty critters that may be trying to get in. And so it's been, I know we have run across several, and this has been very interesting, several YouTubes and videos online with medical doctors talking about the importance of the release of nitric oxide, utilizing it as an antiviral, and how it really just opens up all those vessels, those blood vessels, and really allows the oxygen and the energy to fill our bodies. So it's a powerful, powerful molecule that, of course, is released when we hum.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I've never heard of nitric oxide before, so I had to write it down. An antiviral, can't go wrong with that right now with all the hoopla in the world. And I'd have to say, now, if we're going to do humming, I have a couple questions. Is there a placement in particular that you put your, the tip of your tongue behind your teeth, like meditation or something like that? Is there a specific technique to it? Morning best, evening best? Is it good for children? I mean, I can go on, and don't
Oh,
do it
and I
with
would say yes, 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 yes to all of that. And
and don't yeah,
actually, I want to make sure that, oh, excuse me, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and don't do it with a mask.
No, don't do it with the mask. Please don't do it with the mask.
Okay. All right.
But
So
what you want to be sure and do is make sure that your mouth is closed. Because if your mouth is open, like try humming with your mouth open. You cannot do it. So you want your mouth to be closed. Now, here we're going to start play a little game with you here, Joelyn. This will be kind of fun to do.
let's do it.
Okay, so as you're, and this is bringing in children too, by the way. So as you're humming, I want you to begin humming, and after a few seconds, I want you to pinch your nose, and I'll do it with you. So here we go. We'll just take a nice deep breath, which I want to talk about too, because breath is very important with humming. And take a nice deep breath and just begin to hum, and then we'll pinch our nose. Okay. And what happened?
Felt like when I'm trying to clear my ears scuba diving, it doesn't do a thing. I lost my voice. I lost my voice.
You can't hum with your nose pinched.
No.
And so it's really funny because we have this kind of it's sort of like a little fun game that we play, because then we say, okay, now if you didn't know you couldn't hum with your nose pinched, there's probably a whole lot more about humming that you don't know about. So there's a huge plethora of information now coming out about humming, because people are recognizing that it is a very powerful healing modality and very helpful, particularly as you were saying, in these crazy times that we're in, and we are stressed out, we are out of balance in a big way internally, and so humming can help us to get back into that inner balance, that inner peace, really. And so we want to make sure when we're humming that we do have our mouth closed. Now, the other very, very important aspect of humming is breath. Mm-hmm. When we are humming, before we hum, we want to always remember to take a nice, deep, really a diaphragmatic breath. And our listeners are probably familiar with diaphragmatic breathing, or if they're not, we can also call it belly breathing. And belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, it's when we take that in breath and we fill up our abdomen with that in breath, and we can almost, we feel our belly begin to, blow up almost like a balloon. And that then, when we begin to hum, we then release that breath, and that's when we start humming. But by breathing and doing a little bit of breathing and deep breathing before we hum, what that does, it relaxes the body, and it helps to support the body and with our sound. And so we always want to remember to take some nice deep breaths and breathe as we begin then to hum. So breathing and then working with our sound. And so those are, two of the more obvious components. But there are some other components that are also important when we're working with humming and sound. Now, this is so in intention. I have to bring in.
Oh, I want to talk about that. I had that. I'm working with that right now. Really, really share anything you want about intention. How do you find intention? What intention? Why the intention? Why?
Well, I have to tell you a little story. And I know I'm bringing in a lot of information from my husband, but he is a founding pioneer in this field. And in the 80s, Joelyn, in the 80s, when he was doing a lot of research on sound, and that was way back before people were really, I mean, sound healing was not in people's consciousness to any great degree. I mean, certainly from the ancients it was, but in our current culture then. So he was really a pioneer in this field. And he was working on, doing the research, and he discovered that, Dr. X would, get these particular results from a particular mantra or sound and on and on. And he then, through this research, created a formula. And that formula is frequency, i.e. the sound, plus intention equals healing. He discovered, or didn't discover because it was already been discovered, by the ancient mystics, but it was brought into our consciousness that the sound that we make, coupled with the intention, is the outcome of healing. And so when we hold an intention of whatever that intention is, and we then let our sound sort of ride on that, it's like that intention. It's almost as though our sound is a carrier wave of our thoughts. And that's where the intention comes in to really work, with sound and utilizing sound as a way of having that be this vehicle that can bring our intention into that place of manifestation. So people knowing that frequency plus intent equals healing, that is honestly,
Right.
I think that the intention is more important than just about any aspect of anything we're working with sound.
You brought up quite a few things that have really perked my interest as of recently, and that is there are people that are developing certain things, say cancer or something, and one of my questions I wanted to ask was, is there a certain frequency because that you would want to hum for that, and how would you address your intention, like you want to see it gone? How would you take something like that? Maybe cancer's a little too deep, but maybe you have a story of somebody who, something you could share.
Well, it's interesting, Joelyn, because as we're talking about intention, and it's interesting because I want to bring in my mentor and Jonathan's mentor, a woman by the name of Sarah Benson. Sarah is no longer with us. She passed away many years ago. She was quite a bit older than I was, but she was our mentor, our beloved friend, and we often called her the divine mother of sound. And she was once again a pioneer in this field of sound. And one of the things that she taught us that has just stayed with us, it just doesn't go away, and that is the true sound of healing is love.
Oh, yes.
The true sound of healing is love. Thank you, Sarah, for that. So when we're talking about intention and we're talking about healing and we're talking about, what is it we want to feel better? What is it we want to heal? I mean, cancer is, pretty, in-depth kind of thing to talk about in an interview. We make no medical claims whatsoever working with sound, but the intention of love is so important. And, what intention should we hold when we have something that we want to heal? Let's hold that intention of appreciation and love and maybe we've got, that, like you were saying at the beginning, that, when you're a little girl and you had that stomach ache, maybe you want to just say, I love my tummy. And,
Okay.
hold it, like that. But holding that intention of love is so, so important.
I
So
think I just had an aha moment. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's not an intention of I, I see my cancer, just slowly go away or something, and then start humming. It's more of like loving it because it's part of you in this moment or something.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly, Joelyn. Yeah, becoming friends with it. And then, why are you here? Begin to dialogue with it. It's like really interesting what we can come up with in terms of, just working with these different uh, tools. But I think too, I don't know if you're familiar with heart math.
yes, oh
And
yes.
yes, and we love heart math and work really a lot with the principles of heart math. And of course, when you are breathing in and out, and imagining it coming in and out through your heart, you're also holding the intention of you're holding thoughts of appreciation, you're holding thoughts of gratitude and loving kindness and compassion, and then you're breathing and feeling those beautiful qualities of the human spirit. And so what we do, we take it one step further, and then we put our sound onto those wondrous beautiful feelings that we're having. And so it's interesting too, because it's reminding me of our dear friend Greg Brayton. You may know him. He's quite
I
well known
love that guy. I
in
love
the field.
and Bruce Lipton and all of them, and
Oh yeah, they're
Joe
fabulous.
Dispenza. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Well, Greg wrote a book many years ago called The Isaiah Effect,
Mm.
and in that book he talked about the power of prayer, and he talked about praying not for something. I want to pray for this to be gone, but instead to pray, uh, to uh, pray as though, first of all, to give thanks
Mm.
for whatever it is you're praying for, to imagine, to visualize that it's already happened.
Ah,
Oh, I've got this really bad cold and I just have to have it go away. Oh, okay. Thank you, cold. You are there for a reason. I just thank you for that. And I'm just feeling you now, just dissipating into the ethers. Oh, and it just feels so good imagining it has already happened.
yeah, yeah.
And then we take it, of course, that step further and put that sound on it. So it's like we can hum as we're imagining, visualizing that it is dissipating and feeling that it has already happened. And
Yeah.
so, that kind of helps, I think, a little bit with the intentions aspect that we were
I do too.
initially.
I like it. I like it. I think it goes along with what I've been listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza and his work, and that it's the
Mhm.
same similar thing. Even Science of Mind principles, I played for them for decades,
Oh, yes.
and it's the or and Esther Hicks. They all have been saying the same thing, to imagine and feel the sensation. But yours is adding humming, which I love still because um, here's my next question, and I got to share acronym I have for love. But
Oh, good.
I'll say that before I get life offering vibrational expansion. LOVE. Life offering vibrational expansion, which is ongoing, it seems, in the universe. So I made that up like a year or two ago, and I'm like, I'm going to still stand by that. Um,
Joelyn, would you stand by that, please? Life offering vibrational
expansion.
expansion. expansion, life offering vibrational expansion. Well, if that's not love, I don't know what is.
Girl, maybe you and I will have to do a song and send our tracks to each other, and you put your harp on it, and I'll play my guitar. We'll have something.
Oh, that's beautiful.
In regards to humming, going back, I'm really intrigued. Before we get off this, so we've got the intention, we've got the visualization. How do we find the frequency? Do we just intuitively find that humming tone that feels just the right place? Or is there a certain humming frequencies that you and your husband know of that if you do those, they do this and this and this? In fact, I did download your chakra your tonings, that, and I did listen to that when I went to sleep. It was so soothing. It was so soothing.
Well, we actually, of course, we are all unique vibratory beings. And so if we, were to say that, this particular frequency is the frequency, I know that there's, information out there that, this particular frequency is the frequency of love. And so,
Right.
We'll do that and we'll be in the frequency of love. And then, we go, well, wait a minute, when a mother is holding their little baby and they're humming and they're, singing a lullaby, wait, do you have to get your tuner and make sure that you're at that right frequency?
Good point. Good point.
No, because the frequency of love comes from your heart. And so, frequencies are great and people are always kind of wanting that frequency. And so we just encourage people to work with frequencies that they are in tune with, because that's really the big deal. And, it's just like that mother singing that lullaby to her baby. She is going to be in a frequency of love, and there's just no way around that. And so, because we are all unique vibratory beings, I know with, many of our recordings, they affect people very differently, and they all have many different frequencies in them. And so I think it really is more when we're humming, we want to hum in a place in our body that feels comfortable. We want to be in our comfort zone. And so, we don't, I may hum in a particular frequency, you may hum in a different frequency, but as long as we are in that place, that comfort zone, that's what's really important. And as we continue on with the interview, Joelyn, maybe toward the end we could even do an experience for people where they would be able to, do some breathing and then do some humming, and we could do some, intention and bring in all of those wondrous, beautiful, positive attributes. And so we can actually do that. But we, just where you're at, and, you want to vibrate in that frequency of light, gratitude. How do we get there? How do we do that? Well, one of the ways that I get there and do that is I start thinking about something that I'm appreciative of. I wake up in the morning and go, oh, thank you for this great bed that brought me through this night. And here I am in another day. And you feel, you begin, oh, and I'm so grateful. I look out the window. I am so grateful for that tree out there. Oh, that tree is so beautiful. But, you begin to resonate and vibrate in these frequencies that are filled with appreciation and gratitude.
Yeah. That reminds me of Dr. Emoto, which I was privileged to see him in 2006. And you talk about that. I'm doing I bought your, the 11 Divine Name seminar yesterday. So I was listening to 3 of them this morning, and I can't wait to get back to that. We were talking though about his work and the power of our thoughts. And I did I do know that when I had a lot of tragedy in 2006, a lot of loss in one year, that when I began to wake up and find my way through many, many different kinds of modalities, I noticed starting the nonprofit that I wanted children, Andi, to know that they were enough, because I realized that I had told myself for decades that I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not wealthy enough. I'm not good enough. And I really wrapped my brain around that. And now here I am on a little treadmill to undo that. And so I feel like the humming is a great way, like, especially in nature. I'm at the beach a lot, walking and just humming. I keep smiling every time I say the word. It's funny. It brings me, it does. It makes me instantly want to smile.
Oh, that beautifully said, Joelyn. And I want you to know that what you were just describing, I think many, many, many of us humans suffer and are challenged by those very things. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not on and on and on and on. And we hear that, we begin to internalize those messages until the point where we actually we believe them. They're false messages. And we believe them. And as we, grow into adulthood, we have experiences that sort of throw them in our face, and then we are trying to heal from them. And whoa, how do we do that? And, really, one of the beautiful ways of working with sound is that it actually bypasses the left brain. When we're working with sound, it's completely a right brain. Should be the opposite there with the Zoom.
Yeah.
It's a completely right brain experience. And so, oftentimes, if I'm, with someone and they're having a hard time even verbalizing, these, I don't, there's something wrong. I'm not good enough, blah, 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 this happened, that, and they can't even talk about it. I just tell them, make a sound. And so as you're walking along the beach, like you were saying, and you're humming, boy, you can set that intention of, I love myself just as I am in this moment.
There's your intention.
Yes.
There's the intention.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Now
Exactly.
I'm getting a ha-ha moment right now as we speak. I love that. I love that. Well, it was so Dr. Emoto proved it with his photographs of certain words and what they did to these crystals or frozen little droplets, right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Yes,
If people have never seen that, they've really got to check that out.
well, they have to. I mean, what he did, he took a dark field microscope and he actually took pictures of frozen water that had been water that had been exposed to different intentions, that had been exposed to different sounds. He froze the water, and then he took a picture of the actual molecule of ice, and they were just phenomenal. And of course, our bodies are 70 to 90% water. And so we found through his work that our intentions, our thoughts affect water. And so if it affects water, out in that little tube that we're, using in our lab to do this experiment, it's going to really affect the water. I mean, we're just big sacks of water, basically. We can, our sounds can just,
We are.
really move and groove in our body. So let's have a move and groove with really positive, higher frequency vibrations.
I think this is really important. I am striving at this point, not only on my own body and my own work, and my mind, but also for the help in the planet. I feel it's super important to change my intention of doom and gloom, because you can really get hooked into it. I've over a year ago, I stopped watching TV because it's nothing happy. And I started taking care of the stuff I brought in. I stopped going to movies that are shoot 'em up, bang, bang. This is where I'm taking care of this. And before we end, I have to say a little funny thing. I don't know why, but I have taken notice when I vacuum, Andi, I hum. I've noticed this a long time ago. I have no idea. As soon as that vacuum goes on, I start humming. I have no idea. Is there something in that?
You
Ask your
know,
ask your husband.
well, I don't even have to ask him because I can tell you that what's happening is that you are in training with the vibration of the vacuum cleaner. It's like, you know, entrainment is such an interesting phenomenon of sound. And it's like when there is, an object vibrating in a certain frequency and another object will start vibrating, and the louder one will be the other one will match that. And anyway, it's yeah, that's what's happening. I was going to tell a story about entrainment, but it would take too long. So, but basically, that's what is what's happening is that you're hearing that vacuum cleaner and that vibration, that resonance is like, and then you're
It's true.
matching, and
It's
that's entrainment. And we are in training all the time, by the way, with,
entrainment.
yes.
I heard you bring that up in your video series. What can you just give me a little slice and share with the people out there? Entrainment.
Yes. Well, it's interesting because we are, okay, I'm going to try and make this concise. So, entrainment was discovered way back in the 16th century by a Dutch physicist by the name of Christian Huygens, and he was the inventor of the grandfather clock. And in his lab, he had several grandfather clocks. They were different sizes. And one day he just said, you know what? I'm going to, just before I go home, I'm going to take these pendulums and I'm going to get them all moving at, different, he got them all moving at different times. He left, he went home, he came back the next morning, and what had happened is that all of the pendulums had locked in step
Oh
with
wow.
the largest pendulum. They had all entrained with that large pendulum. They were all in step. That's a sort of a basic way of describing entrainment. Now, what happens in our bodies, we're constantly entraining within our own inner rhythms, our brain waves, our heart rate, our respiration are all in training with each other. So within our bodies, we're constantly in training. If we lower our blood pressure, we're going to lower our heart rate. If we lower our breathing, we are going to automatically lower our heart rate, our blood pressure. They're all in training. And so the really neat thing about sound is that we can use sound to entrain within our own bodies. And so that's the phenomenon that was actually happening with you and the vacuum cleaner. It was that entrainment with the vacuum cleaner. It's interesting, a congregational, entrain with the minister, and a teacher with, classroom of students with the teacher, and on and on. And, we often say, oh, I'm in such resonance with that. Aha, you're really in level of entrainment with it. Oh, I really resonate with him or her. Oh, you're really in that same kind of frequency there. So,
yeah, when I was doing the anti-bully programs, there was a time where I wanted to teach this singing meditation that was actually in a book, and there was so much success with this particular. It's a singing one. Maybe you've heard it. I thought if a teacher started off her day or his day with their first graders, second graders with Satanama. Now you can change the words. It said you can change the words. I have used it before events that I would put on. Do you know I'd let it all rest, and then I'd ask people, how do you feel? And people would inevitably state the same things. I feel calmer. I don't remember what I brought into the room. I had some busy stuff. just by, touch and singing this. And so I thought to raise the vibration of the children, I thought, I am smart now, so they could take their test, be calm for their test. I don't know. It was just an idea, to get the children and the teacher. I can tell you the teachers need it too. They need it too.
Oh yeah, more than the kids, because you have to have the teacher really feeling calm before that she can then, teach.
Yeah.
That sound is just such a valuable tool for, and that's where, humming is such a stress releaser. And, and it's really interesting because I want to just take a moment. And speaking of Bruce Lipton, we have got, if you don't mind, I have our book here, and I would love to read the quote that is on the back of our book, The Humming Effect.
Oh, there's your book. Yes, yes. Where can they find it? Where can they find it?
They can find this book on our website, healingsounds.com. They can get it on Amazon, and it won the Gold Award for Best Alternative Health Book of the Year a few years ago. But Bruce Lipton wrote a beautiful quote for us, and this speaks to what we're talking about. He said, I highly recommend the humming effect for all those impacted by the stress of the modern world. It is a powerful, non-pharmaceutical prescription for self-healing that has only positive side effects, such as harmony, health, and happiness. And so I wanted, it just spoke so beautifully to what we were just talking about. And the fact, too, that it is a non-pharmaceutical, I know that is just, we have within us the power. We can empower ourselves to lower our stress rate, to lower our heart rate, our blood pressure, and to, help ourselves into a healing vibration simply with our own voice. We have that power. And as a therapist, my whole thing is empowering you to, heal. I don't do anything. You're the one that does it. So, let's use what we know works. And of course, humming is a wonderful stress reducer. So.
It sure is. I could see people doing it at work or in the moment of some rage where they're ready to flip, and if they just take that moment and just because a lot of people in the past, friends of mine say, sit down and meditate when you're in the monkey mind.
Cannot do that.
That's like the last thing I want to do.
Cannot do that.
But I can hum. I can hum. In the moment. I can.
It feels to me like this is a great moment to just take some time and all of us meditate to hum together and do a little humming meditation.
Let's do
it. And I also love that you brought in children, because children utterly love working with sound. They're just they're so open and just so curious, and they love making all kinds of funny sounds with their voices, and so humming. So as a teacher, you could start out your day, okay, kids, we're going to take some nice deep breaths, we're going to start humming, and they will love it. They will love it. So one of the things that I like to do, and we'll just do a brief exercise right now before the end of our hour here, but I'd like to ask everyone to just take a moment. We're going to first begin focusing on our breath. So, and sometimes it can help if we close our eyes. You don't have to, but it can also enhance the experience. So as we close our eyes, we can put our hands on our bellies, and we can take some nice diaphragmatic, some deep, nice belly breaths. So let's take a few deep breaths right now. Way down deep in our abdomen, and exhale. Taking some nice deep breaths and releasing with a sigh, letting go of anything that's not serving us in this moment. And now as we continue focusing on our breathing, breathing in and breathing out, and breathing in and out and imagining or visualizing that we're breathing in and out through our heart. Breathing in and out through our heart. And as we're breathing in this manner, begin to call to mind something that we feel appreciative of, that we're grateful for. Begin to bring in some of those positive qualities we were talking about earlier. Breathing in and out through our heart and feeling gratitude and appreciation. And in a moment, we'll begin in this beautiful frequency of positivity. We'll begin to hum. So now we'll do maybe a series of 3 hums. We'll see how that feels. So taking a breath in, and now we'll hum together that first hum. Taking another breath and beginning to hum. And feeling that vibration comfortably in our bodies. Let's take another deep breath and hum again. Not sure if that humming could be picked up over the Zoom, but I hope everyone has felt that resonating in their body. And let's do one more hum. I'm feeling that. Breathing in. And now let's take a moment and be in silence. After we've done some hums or working with sound, being in silence is a vital component in allowing those shifts and changes. I always say in that silence is where we listen and hear our inner wisdom. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and come back into our Zoom.
Oh, that was yummy. That was yummy. Oh, well, I thoroughly enjoyed this interview. I think we could go on and on. We're kindred sisters for sure.
I feel it too, Joelyn.
I'm thinking I have a motor home with flowers on that. Oh, you can't miss it. And I'm in it. I stay in it quite often. And I'll just have to make a trip to your neck of the woods and bring my guitar and we can jam and do some humming. We can do some humming for the world. Now, you've got some things coming up. I want people to know. Can you share a few little upcoming things you've got going on?
You know what? I just loved when you said humming for the world, because one of the things that Jonathan and I facilitate every year, we're coming up now onto our 20th World Sound Healing Day.
Okay.
And World Sound Healing Day happens every year on February 14th. And what we do is we encourage people throughout the planet, throughout our world, to gather and to create groups within their communities and gather and have toning and sounding groups with the intention of sending love and healing to our beautiful Mother Earth and to heal the waters and to bring that harmony and healing to each other through our sound. And so what's happened, it's really been quite phenomenal, is that through these many years, throughout the planet, there's just been so many people like yourself, Joelyn, who would maybe create a group and want to say, hey, let's get together on the 14th and do a sound healing ceremony. Let's work with sound to heal the planet. So now it's really interesting. There's just, throughout the world, we probably have 50, 70, I don't know how many countries are represented. And of course, we do a group here in Boulder every year. However, with the pandemic, we had to revamp everything because people were no longer able to gather in person. But what we did, we created a portal on our worldsoundhealingday.org website. And so people could post their group and people could then join. They'd have links to their Zooms and people could join. And so there's this beautiful rippling effect that goes out onto our planet on February 14th. So people can learn more about that on our website, healingsounds.com. And we have that special website, worldsoundhealingday.org. So that is the big thing that we have coming up. And
beautiful. Yes, and there's all kinds of different things you have on your website. Can you give your website again?
Yes, that website is Healing Sounds, and sounds is plural, healingsounds.com. And there's a lot of free downloads and so much educational material. And we have our online store with lots of wonderful healing sound tools, tuning forks, and just all of that that is helpful for our sounds. And I know that we have a great affirmation that we like to say toward the end of an interview. And after talking about World Sound Healing Day, we heal ourselves and we heal the planet. We heal the planet and we heal ourselves. And so I would just encourage everyone to just hold the intention of love and to just vibrate in the highest frequency every single day. And those are frequencies of gratitude and appreciation and love and light through sound.
Yes, indeed. This has been a lovely interview. Thank you for indulging us in the humming effect. And all I can say is keep humming, people. It can't hurt anybody. You cannot hurt anybody by humming. This is Joelyn from One Heart TV. If you like this, please, hit the bell. We'll keep you updated. Maybe I can bring Andi back again and see how things go. Maybe for February 14th, I'll keep you on the radar. Maybe I can look you up ahead of time and we can try to do a little promo together.
Love it.
Good. And do like this and share with your friends and make comments in the section below. I will make sure your link is in the description so they can find you, Andi. Thank you so much again. And all I can say is, like I said, keep humming and with your intention of love.
Joelyn, thank you so much, and just many blessings of love and light through sound to you and to all of our listeners. And happy humming, everyone.